Huzzah and well met, lords and ladies. Behind me you'll see an array of quite a few items, and that is because these are all things that can be obtained from a mob farm. Yes, we are finally getting to that video, and I apologize for it having taken so long, but we're going to dive right into it because this is an involved project. So first, these are all 27 unstacking items that you can receive from your mob farm. This will be a general mob farm, so you won't be able to exclude these items, or at least not without some tinkering that I'm not going to cover in this video today. These are your stackable items, and we won't pay attention to that next section quite yet. And these are arranged by their commonality. So, arrows and bones, rotten flesh, gunpowder, string, spider eyes, and sticks from witches are going to be your most commonly dropped items. These will be less common, and further, the iron, carrots, and potatoes are very rare drops from zombies. You won't be gathering up tons and tons of those with this farm. However, this is all in service of making decisions for your storage areas, which we'll cover in a little bit. I want you to be aware of how to organize your storage areas, or at least have some idea of what I'm talking about when I tell you how to organize them. Because you will need allays for your non-stacking items, or to throw them in a fire or a disposal of some kind. I will show you how to do that in another video. That's not important for here. We're here to talk about the mob farm. One final note on items is you have 4 items, technically 5, that can be crafted into something, but I don't recommend crafting your string into wool blocks. It does not uncraft, so to speak. So you would be stuck with wool blocks instead of string, and string is much more useful to you not in wool blocks. There are much easier ways, such as my sheep shearing farm. Feel free to check out that video. I'll post links to all of these things in my description. But let's get on with the main event, the mob farm itself. So I've done one in cross section, and I've done one that's going to demonstrate how we get up to that area. And then I'll show you having it actually working. We're going to start by going 44 to 45 bricks up, and the astute amongst you will notice that that's only 42 to get to this platform. That's okay. You might want to do this over open water, or just any old high hill that you can find. We're high enough up that it will stop the spawning on the ground. That is why we use 44. If you do it over water, you could adjust that a little bit. What's important here is that I've chosen to go another 15 blocks high up to our storage area, or our output anyways. Our collection system looks like this. We're going to take, and you technically only need this one hopper, so I will destroy these for the moment for demonstration purposes. Underneath our collection chamber, where the mobs are going to be killed, our grinder, so to speak, we're going to place a temporary block first, and then a hopper, and then we're going to put a minecart with hopper on that. So to show you how that's done quickly, we'll need power, well, need is a strong word. You'll have powered rails from another project up above if you are feeling fancy. But all it takes, well, I might as well show you the whole process here, since I've come this far. So we'll take a temporary block. It does not matter which block underneath our grinder that you choose. We'll place that, and I want to go that way with my items when we get started. You'll have to pick that depending on how you design your storage area. If you don't know any of my other videos, you'll know that I've got my beginning talking about storage options and item motion, so that is a good way to get your beginnings. You can look into any of those videos. I will link the playlist in the description of this video as well, and you can understand some things. Anyway, you'll have to place a rail on top of that hopper. And this is, again, something else I've dealt with in a previous video. You want to be carefully target your rail, break it, and you can slide this cart until it pushes against both of those fence posts, or wall posts, as it were. And then we can have all of our hoppers pointing into each other. That's just silly. Don't do that. You won't get your items very far that way. Alright, fine. We'll break my sign, I guess. Alright. This will, because the hopper can pull things through blocks fairly quickly and be unloaded at any one of these 4 hoppers, it will very, very rapidly pull everything through. So your items don't get backed up in the grinder very easily. This is still a very productive farm. You are going to see some backup happening, but this will go on to supply whatever storage system you decide on. If you want to do a very simple one, you don't need this much height. You could have a 3 chest stack with a very basic filter and throw everything else away, keeping only the 6 most common items, or only the items you want. You could slot in a whole allay assorting system, a whole rail. I would suggest you put the allays at the end because they're slower, and put your crafting blocks at the end of your redstone filters, item sorting filters, which are also another video I do. Like I said, I will link that playlist in the description. Everything's in there. I think it's only 12 or 15 videos, and they're all fairly short. Anyways, moving on. On top of your collection system, wherever you decide to place it, whatever height that is, we're going to build this thing. And this is a trident killer. These are a thing I learned from other YouTubers. You take, with a set of pistons, you use a set of pistons to push around a thrown trident. You'll throw a trident in there through this tiny little gap. It may take a few tries, but the trident won't lose any durability while it's being pushed around, and it counts as a falling damage item. So any mobs that it touches will take damage, it will die. So start yourself. We'll step in here a moment. And picked up the trident, just so you know what happened to it. But on the right side of all sides, put the the piston. And you don't want sticky pistons, you just want regular pistons. Then solid blocks opposite your pistons. And use one. I've used here gray concrete, to show that these aren't helping with the circuit. These have nothing to do with the circuit. This one does, because this is your on-off switch. All you need to do is power one of these pistons so that it remains extended. You can use droppers or dispensers in the corners here. Or you can use powered rails if you're feeling very fancy and expensive. I don't recommend it because it's expensive. Droppers are cheap. They require just a redstone and some cobblestone to make. Then you will have observers observing each one of these droppers. They'll be looking at the dropper. It doesn't matter which way it faces, but I think it looks silly when you have one face showing. So these observers observe the dropper, send the signal through this concrete block to the next dropper, which activates, which the observer observes, sending a signal through to the next dropper, so on and so forth. This will just cycle repeatedly, endlessly, constantly, noisily, firing all of these pistons in succession. So all you need to do to stop them is supply power to one brick on one corner. Another thing that you're going to want to do, this is where you're going to stand while you work on while your farm works and provides you with stuff. Place a hopper down here, and when you activate your farm and go AFK, build yourself a handy little panic room. Cover yourself up. Some of these monsters can spawn with thorns. You will take damage. If that happens enough, you will die. Your stuff will fall to your feet and despawn while you're sleeping or you're at work or whatever, and your farm will continue going along without you. All your stuff will fall into the hopper if that's the case. You can connect it to a chest, whichever direction you'd like, except into the farm. Don't do that. And you might also consider having some form of regen on, like a beacon. And I'll link that description as well, because I have a video on how to build a beacon. Because of the thorns, you'll want to have that regen possible. But anyway, let's move on with the video. You're going to go another 22 blocks higher than the point where you stand. The 22 blocks is because monsters will spawn at a point more than 22 blocks away from you and closer than 24 blocks away from you. Or, I'm sorry, closer than 24. 44 blocks away from you. That'd be an awfully small ring for monsters to spawn. And what we're going to do is build yourself a 5x5 platform, and on the same side as your trident killer, as you'll see, build yourself a row of magma blocks. Then you're going to take out these smooth stones. Now, I've used smooth stones here just because it's easy to see their edges and count them, but you can use whatever solid brick you want here. Don't use glass. I'm using glass here for demonstration purposes only. The glass will mess up how your monsters spawn. It won't work. So we're going to float down here, but this is important to know. You're going to build yourself a one wide gap all the way around these magma blocks. You're going to put fences here, or fence gates, excuse me, and you're also going to do it on the row beneath. I will show you how this helps in a little while. Then you'll have to center above your your trident killer, and do 2 blocks on the side that it's 2 blocks out, and 1 block on the opposite side. You'll see our pillar right here is directly above where we stand. So we want... Oh, I'm too far back. And now I'm falling. All right, up we go. We're going to build ourselves a bit of a funnel here. On the side with 1 block, put a fence gate in front. And on the side with 2 blocks, put a fence gate on the level above and in front. I'll quickly help you understand how this is helping us. Once we put in our water, it flows all of our monsters that fall into here into these fences, which stops the water from flowing but allows some creatures to cross and some to fall. And you'll see that in a bit. I'll demonstrate. But we're also going to go and place water on top of all the magma. Then we're going to come down here. You'll have to be very careful about where you're actually pointing. Look for your black outlines. Place water there. And right there. Now, anything that falls into this pool, which will be everything, will be shunted over here across your fences. Spiders, being the pain that they are, will crawl onto the magma and cook themselves, and the water will flow the string and spider eyes back down into the farm and down into our grinding chamber. Anything else that falls down will either take a nothing but net swish into the grinder, or fall into the water and be pushed in that way. So this is a very easy chamber to build. in creative mode, it can be very ridiculous in survival. Bring yourself lots of scaffolding to build this. Or if you like to build with stone and then chisel stone back down, you can do whatever you want. But scaffolds are pretty easy. So the next thing you're going to do once you're to this point is extend this down all the way down to our grinding chamber or our kill chamber. And I'll show you how that's done on this one. These sets of platforms are built to the same heights and distances that I showed. I changed this to purple to show where we're standing, but otherwise everything is the same and expanded on. So these gray stained glass are representing other smooth stones so you can see what we're doing. This chamber is exactly the same, and everything falls down in here. At this very bottom, you're going to expand it so that it covers perfectly well over top of our kill chamber. And now the fun part. Once you've done all of that, now you can ignore that for now, and you'll see we're back in the same pool. You'll cover it over with blocks until you have a 5x5 hole that aligns right over top of our fence gates. Our spiders will get pushed into there. Our monsters will all fall down into here. And what you want to have is enough height so that the monsters can move around a little in here. Otherwise, once in a while, they'll get caught on top of the extended pistons, and they won't be able to fall down and take damage from the trident, and they lessen your rates and ruin the whole experience. So, this is a cross section of what the rest of your farm is going to look like. Once you get to the top of this 5x5 chamber, which I'll dart back over here and show you. Once you have this portion covered, and these need to be solid blocks, as I said before, not this gray glass, you'll have this 5x5 area. And that is this same 5x5 area over here. You're then going to build out. We'll start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 blocks out from your 5x5 hole. Yes, this is a 3x3 opening with the scaffolding. We use that so that the mobs don't try to walk away from the edge and keep themselves from being pushed into the grinding chamber. Then you'll put a lip on this thing. This platform will end up being 19 by 19, and we're going to fill it in with water, except for these 2 blocks. Or I'm sorry, not fill it in. Only along the edges you'll put water here, not here, not here, but here, and all the way through. And that's on all sides. You'll fill in the corner, skip 2, go all the way down to the corner. You'll skip the 2 before the corner. Then you're going to put in a whole layer of scaffolding, leaving the 3x3 hole in the center, and then water over top. So you will have to place water by placing it to that stone, to the side of the stone right there. It's easy to fix up if you get it in the wrong place, so don't worry about that too much. You're going to build 5 layers just like this. And then on the 6th layer, we're going to use slabs instead of solid blocks. And then you want to make sure you still build the sides out of full blocks though, to keep the light from coming in, because light will pass through slabs, and this will make your farm not as effective. You can cover this in tinted glass, but if you're feeling cheap, leaves will work. Tinted glass works better, but leaves will be okay. Trust me, this farm is productive enough that if you need to stress over that amount of monster spawning, then you must be in need of a far more specialized farm than this is. So anyways, we'll turn off some of our cheats here. Mob spawning. And always day. So we can show this thing at work. We'll set the clock forward to nighttime. And we'll just watch here for a few minutes. Because this is a cross section, it doesn't work during the daytime. Too much light is able to leak in. But once you have this fully constructed, no light is able to get in at all. So you're 100% able to run this at any time of day. Oh, it might help if I put it on a difficulty mode besides peaceful as well. We gotta get in the right position here. Oh, we've got phantoms, but there we go. You can see, because our water flows aren't 100% constructed, our zombies aren't falling as fast as they should be, but they should all be being pushed towards the center and flushed down into the chamber. Now, I did say also that sticks are one of your more common items, but witches who drop sticks, who drop lots of sticks, especially if you use looting, are going to be a rarer spawn. So it works out that you won't get quite as many sticks. They're still pretty common. And we've got phantoms floating around. I don't know if you can hear that, but we do have phantoms. I don't see them anywhere, but that's no worry. Maybe they're below us. Oh, yep. We're too far up for them. So this is already over a 20-minute video, but that's kind of why it took me so long to get to this video. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to approach this project, but you should have all the information you need to build one of these farms. Make sure as you're building that you build yourself a water supply as you're going along. You'll need an infinite water source on each level to take care of this. Do something like that. You can come back later with your elytra and take them all off, or you can take them off as you go. Bring yourself extra supplies in survival mode. That's a long fall. If you build it over land, you'll die. If you build it over water, yes, you won't die, but it's a long climb back up, and you can't double jump and activate your elytra out of water to get flying again. So those are just some concerns that you might have while you build this, but enjoy. These are super useful. As you saw, all the items that we had on our walls down here are good things to have. If you do use an allay collection system and gather up all of these things, diamond is a pretty rare drop from any of your zombies and skeletons, but free diamonds aren't ever a bad thing. Swords, bows, potions, all for free. This is all great stuff to have. Obviously, the gunpowder is what a lot of you will be after for building your fireworks, but you can take and craft bones into bone meal and then into bone blocks for storage, or just take bone meal. It's all up to you how you want to use these things, but once again, huzzah! I hope that you are blessed on your next quest, and I'm off to my next adventure. And this has been your White Sun Paladin and the mob farm, finally. Stay tuned. I've got a couple other farms, real simple ones to start with, a conduit, and then we're going to have to get into Guardian farms and Nether Fortress farms, and possibly Piglin trading farms beyond that. But this is your White Sun Paladin, off to my next adventure once again.